It is such a quiet thing to fall, but far more terrible is to admit it.
I will continue to study at your feet, Master. I will learn from your wisdom. I will discover your secrets. Unlocking them one by one until everything you know. All your knowledge and all your power is mine. And once you are no longer of use to me, I will destroy you.
Peace is a lie. Only passion.
Through passion, strength.
Through strength, I gain power.
That power is my right. And my weapon. I claim it. Tick. Tock. Tick. Tock.
I would caution you. Harms such as these weigh heavily on those who wield them.
Dark side is no trick. When you feel anger in your every connection to the Force, when you accept that a woman must use any means necessary to prove her strength, then you will have discovered the dark side.
That is true power.
No more holding back! Never again!
I will crush you, Jedi! And your shattered body will fuel my rebirth!
Wound me, hurt me, bring me, and at the last, bring me to the death that I am owed.
Through power, victory. Through victory.
Good. Use your aggressive feelings, boy.
My chains are broken.
And then you will be broken.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
The true war has never been one waged by droids or warships or soldiers. They are but crude matter, obstacles against which we test ourselves. The true war is waged in the hearts of all living things, against our own natures, light or dark. That is what shapes and binds this galaxy, not these creations of man. A culture's teachings, and most importantly the nature of its people, achieve definition in conflict.
We all have our heroes. And when we watch them fall, we die inside.
I can't do it then. I can't kill my own father.
Just help me save Padme's life. I can't live without her.
His
like my brother, I cannot do it.
You can stand to see the Imperial flag reign across the galaxy.
It's not a problem if you don't look up.
I feel it again. The call to the light.
Sense great fear in you, Skywalker.
If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
You have hate. You have anger. But you don't use them.
Not to betray you, Father. I feel the good in you. The conflict.
There is no conflict.
We all wage war with the past, and it leaves its scars.
You must unlearn.
Good.
Your hate has made you powerful. Now, fulfill your destiny and take your father's place at my side.
What do you have there?
In battle, the words are swept away, giving way to actions. Mercy. Sacrifice.
You will be destroyed. You will die.
Anger, fear, these are pure moments of expression.
You will die.
I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you.
Your father would have been proud of you, Jin.
Never. I am a Jedi, like my father.
Right. Tell your sister. You were right.
He feels no fear, no pain. The chill of death cannot cool his passion. The hero burns eternal.
Wrap your head around this cog in the machine. First you must understand what the devil is. The biblical Christian and Catholic reputation is only one part of the devil. Evil comes in many forms. But the ultimate compiled multicultural summarized definition of the devil is that he is the ultimate repercussion for mankind's sins against himself and those around him. An ultimate fate caused by mankind's recession in cultural evolution. The byproduct of, say for example, the society at large mankind has become. The devil is the ultimate fairy tale monster become real, a byproduct of its own design that finally had enough and went that extra mile to become whatever is necessary to end that which made it, whatever the cost. It knows no limits. The devil is whatever you think he might be in your own conception of extreme possibilities, and you will find him always just beyond what you had conceived, just beyond the limits of imagination, maintaining that extreme composure. And that concept is what perpetuates the eternal fear in him, for we fear what we can't understand. but that is only him in definition as best that is possible. So you see, the devil is inevitable and cannot be stopped from becoming who he is. And the best part is the devil doesn't need anyone to believe in him to do what he does. In fact, the only thing that might help him is that you believe the lies he promotes to avert attention from him while he works. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was making the world believe he didn't exist when they all knew he was standing right before them. A quote by Harry Houdini: "Taint is a word used to describe something that contaminates and causes something to become impure or desecrated, and is the best phrase to use when describing what that dark manifestation is. It is all the evil ever done, the essence of its effect within the universe, gathered and pooled together and given life." Surely if you had ever encountered it you would understand. It is not a demon, or a fallen angel, nor is it a wrathful spirit, for it has never lived. It is a living shadow, that has a form comprised of what a person's mind conceives as evil and amplifies that concept beyond what your mind can grasp. As that concept suddenly takes physical form, you try to gaze upon it. Your mind's image of what you understand and define as evil twists within the shadow and begins to take form. The screams of fear, the shouts of hatred, the cries of suffering, all suddenly become a shadowy figure outlined in darkness, and then takes the shape and form of that which causes those screams of fear. It becomes the maniac that shouts in hatred. The figure of that which you perceive as that which could cause such suffering, that is your concept of evil, appears before you, living, breathing and staring you straight in the face. It taints all memories and ideas of hope, righteousness and virtue. That is a small description of what it is. It is the real-life Pennywise, the shadow wolf Fenrir. In Greek they would call it Phobos. And that is the reason they say my father was a jackal and mother a human, because of my relation by blood to Fenrir. I emulate the personification of these evils, the primordial chaos who existed before creation formed, and is the source of my life's stream or my soul. That source of my being lies behind the door of the Pagewani Temple's forbidden door. Not to be confused with Cthulhu under the Vatican, or as the Hindu texts refer to as Kali and Mahakala. That entity and I are two different beings, but at the same time we are not. I can only comparatively describe it by comparing the differences between the Christ child to his father. Though my life force is derived from this entity, we are in no way the same. Our power and abilities are different, as well as its composition that consists of pure unfiltered aspects of evil, whereas my composition is of any damn thing I choose. As long as it is not aligned with the deceiver of nations, Satan, we will not have to face each other. Considering that it was Satan who created this thing though, and so it may come down to that in the end. However, Satan knew he had created an unstoppable force when he made the Leviathan, which is why he allowed the design of the Forbidden Realm. He knew if that creature he'd created ever got loose it would eventually come after him, so he left it under lock with no key. But the prison is flawed, it does not keep him contained. I do however know of a weakness within this entity, knowledge I can share that is most vital. Its weakness is love. In the aspect of the Morrigan's duality just before it separated itself from her, the entity had fallen in love with a Viking warrior, not just any warrior, but Odin himself. For the Morrigan was also known as Freya. The tale goes that the Morrigan was a Celtic goddess of war and death, sometimes appearing as a beautiful woman, sometimes as an old crone. The Irish called her the Morrigan, the Nordic called her Gulveig. The Celtic sages say she was a part of the Trinity goddess, Gaia the Earth Mother goddess, and that her and her two sisters were the true charmed ones of the witches' belief in the power of three, a belief in witchcraft that states whatever magic one casts, if it is unjust and disturbs the cosmic balance of nature, then that spell will return to the one who cast it threefold. She had the ability of foresight and would be seen upon the battlefields ushering fallen warriors to the land of the dead. If you saw her or a flock of crows before battle, then it was a sign you would not live to see its end. This quality may be attached to the spirit that resided within the Morrigan, which ties into the first one this shadow had ever taken possession of, and it also leads to the evidence that the flood of Noah's tale, that killed the first generation of my ancestors, the Nephilim children, the one who has been a curse upon every generation of Nephilim descent since, by driving the firstborn son to one day rise up and overthrow their fathers, forcing the fathers to make a choice between killing their own son, or being killed by the chaos that follows their son as they rise to overthrow them, threatening to destroy all they have built, or what has been called the curse of Kronos, was all orchestrated by the taint of this shadow's presence and influence, created by Satan, not a decree for the children's death by God but a deception of the most divine nature, passed down by the Leviathan. For the woman who was entombed beneath the Vatican with the evil taint, the first possessed, had committed the crime of murder of her own son. She was the mortal wife of the Archangel Uriel, the angel of death. She had done this deed under possession of this shadow that is the Leviathan. That it was also done by the command of God's decree that all the Nephilim bloodline were abominations and to be killed. These orders of God's command can be found in the judgment against Azazel for his sins against God. So now we see the true enemy and why I am aligned with heaven here in the end of days. This is why I say to you mankind that I am not your true enemy here, and we all have been greatly deceived here. Now let us finish this tale of the Morrigan that proves that Gulvad was another shadowed form of the Leviathan. The Jewish say that the Leviathan has 3 heads. Samael is one of them, Melech is another, and I believe Gulvad is the 3rd. One day she happened across a Viking warrior in the woods and they became lovers. She hid her identity from him even after they married. One day she had a vision of this warrior's death, and on the day of the battle she urged him not to go. But the suffering of his people drew his attention, and as she watched him playing out the battle she envisioned, she decided for once to try and save his life. In a flurry of crows she swooped down upon his attacker and blinded him as he fell over a cliff. In the heat of the moment she forgot the illusion that hid her identity, and he saw the form of the old crone. Putting it together who she really was left him in such a state of shock he stumbled back and fell over the cliffside too, just as she had foreseen. This warrior was not just any warrior but Odin himself, and it is this reason that the presence of Odin's spirit that holds the power to banish her presence from anyone inflicted or possessed by this entity. Grief-striken, the old crone separated herself from the Morrigan and in a flurry of crows disappeared into the west, never to be seen again. In its grief the dark essence that was the old crone, the Leviathan, exiled herself here to America, because long ago before the flood of the deluge, when it first was created, this region of America was once known as the lands of exile, where their worst of the mystical age, the Old Kingdom, were banished. So in self-exile it existed here in North America around the regions of North Carolina, I believe. It was the one who had haunted the family of John Bell in the 18th century, and before that in southern regions of the Caribbean. Then it was known as the Sea Hag, by sailors' accounts, with countless stories of sailors being lured to their deaths, along with numerous cases of possession similar to the Morrigans and the tale of Earl's estranged wife. The Leviathan is a very old and ancient evil that has many faces and disguises. Many times it was believed to be imprisoned and defeated, yet every time it found a way to return. I had given it an offer of salvation, to turn from its ways through enlightenment, to strive for a higher sense of purpose than the confines of evil as I had, for they are just the plans of those who seek to manipulate and control you for their own agendas. But I was given an answer. It basically can be interpreted by saying it took possession of me and forced me to slap myself continuously. I shall hold to my agreement and reserve judgment for another 2 days, when I will be given the opportunity to see a glimpse of this beast and thus be able to see into its heart and soul and judge with my own eyes whether this truly was its answer or whether it was those who seek to control and manipulate it. So in summary, the before the deluge of Noah's tale, a crime was committed of murder. Seeing the woman was possessed, the first one never possessed, but unable to handle the force within her, that was the Leviathan. The sages bound the Leviathan to the woman and cast her into a tomb sealed by a fountain that maintained her life and therefore maintained the shadows binding to her, keeping it from possessing others. The child's name I could not get a clear answer to, but I did manage to discover that he was directly linked to the family of Lamech, grandson of Cain and father of Methuselah. This tale runs along the same timeline of that of the origins of the Leviathan's creators. Forged by the power of the Ogdod stones, or the Hindu stones of creation that were crafted by the necromancer lord, Malik, whose kingdom lay beyond the Valley of Shadows, the kingdom of the enemy in the lands of the dead. This region is found to be in the middle of the Pacific Ocean that was once above sea level long ago. Nestled within the Pacific rim of what are now a chain of underwater volcanoes, lays the fortress of the Necromancer Lord who, while under the control of a dark presence known as Golgothos or the Dark One, it was he that instructed him to forge the stones of creation. This Dark One was traced back to the Deceiver of Nations, who lies entombed beneath the sands in the lost city of Irem in the Persian desert. Using the stones of creation, 3 mystical artifacts of immense power, and through the turmoil of the Nephilim children being hunted down by the decree of God, combined with the sacrifice of the third Adam, who was called Abruxas, and who also held extreme contempt against the forces in conflict at that time, combined together on the mountain called Hebron, where they committed the atrocious sin that the legends describe as fornication and mating with the mortal women in ritualistic, whatever. It was there through these methods I described that they created the Leviathan, something that never should have been, and blinded God to its creation by manipulating the cosmic balance through their heritage to their fathers who were the angels of the principalities. Through all this, however, the sinful act of the Nephilim children, Malak's forging of the stones and Abruxas' sacrifice that made it all possible because of his eating of the fruit from the tree of life that infused him with the power and essence of God's being, since it was through that tree God had designed all life upon the earth, and so thus giving them access to the limitless power of the Creator through the sacrifice of his life essence. These are the fundamental core forces that formed this beast in the first place. My plan to destroy this beast is best analogized by saying what I plan to do is to cause a state of vacuum decay within this entity and completely destroy, wipe out from every aspect of existence every fiber of its shadowed being and convert it into that of a being of light if it chooses salvation, or complete annihilation if not. It is foretold that on December 21st is when it shall break free of its confines, so it is then I shall meet it for a short-lived battle. And the Archangel Michael did lay hold of the red dragon, that old serpent and deceiver of nations, who is called Satan, and bound him with the chains of eternity and cast him into the lake of fire to be destroyed. So sorry the beastie, but you're destined to fall in this battle. Not even your first victim will be going with you, for it is evident now that she was innocent and that you were the curse of Kronos, the enemy of God's command upon my ancestors, a false command from a false god. Now you all see what truth I discovered that turned me from my path of hatred against God, and why I know now that he is not my true enemy. As I had said, we all have been led down a path of a well-orchestrated and devised plan of deceit, but many forces are in conflict and the children still hold to their honorable ways and respect their parents, even the incarnate of one of them. You see, there is good within you all. I can sense conflict within. They can be saved, they just need hope is all.